Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Steeldive SD1953. This watch is available from watchdives.com for $99 US. So firstly, let's look at the box that the watch comes in, and then I'll talk you through the other items one gets with the piece. So the watch comes in this black plastic pelican style case. I'll show you the interior. Inside the two halves of the pelican style case, they are fully lined with two foam panels, which does an excellent job of protecting the watch in shipping from any damage. I like this black plastic pelican style case. It's definitely higher quality than the cardboard watch boxes used by Pagani Design in the PD1661. And bear in mind, this is a $99 US low tier price point piece, so Steeldives deserve full credit for using a good quality pelican style case at this price point. With regards to the other items, one gets this comprehensive owner's instruction manual. It's bilingual, both in English and Mandarin, clear concise diagrams and clear concise instructions, and it details the operation of the movement used, which is the Seiko NH35A automatic. One also gets this plastic guarantee card, and I'm pleased to report if you purchase the watch from watchdives.com, the watch is covered by a 3-year international warranty rather than the usual 2-year international warranty one gets on AliExpress. So that's a good reason to purchase the watch from Watchdives, to get a 3-year international warranty, which is very good at this price point. Lastly, one also gets this Steeldive tag. It's a nice presentation, and I really like the attention to detail. So with regards to the specifications of the piece, this is the Steeldive SD1953. The watch is clearly an homage to the Rolex Submariner date, and it's available in 3 colour options, black, green and blue respectively. The green version has a green ceramic bezel and green dial as per the Rolex Hulk, and the blue version has a blue bezel and blue dial as per the Rolex Smurf. Of those 3 colour options, I think this black version is the best looking. So very similar proportions to the Rolex Submariner date. We have a 40mm case diameter. We have a 47.8mm lug-to-lug measurement, a thickness of 13.3mm, and a lug width of 20mm. The oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm at the lugs down to the 2-button push flip-lock clasp. And as you can see, the 2-button push flip-lock clasp is signed to high standard, both with the Steeldive brand logo on the flip-lock, and on the body of the clasp we also have the Steeldive brand emblem engraved to high standard. Flawless mirror polishing to the flanks of the flip-lock clasp. However, as always, I'm going to be critical of it only having 3 micro adjustment holes. I would like to see Steeldive upgrade the quality of the clasp to a solid milled clasp with 4 micro adjustment holes, because that would further enhance the piece and it would make it easier to get the sizing of the bracelet correct. In the absence of half links in the bracelet, it's more difficult to size the bracelet correctly to get the perfect fit, because we only have full links, and really 3 micro adjustment holes aren't enough. If it had 4, or alternatively some half links, that would make resizing the bracelet better. Now, there is a clear cost-cutting measure. The clasp is entirely made from stainless steel. It's not nickel plated, but however, it's disappointing to see a pressed metal interior to the clasp. At this price point, I would like to see a solid milled stainless steel clasp. Usually I'm highly critical of brands that use this cost-cutting measure, but the specification of the head of the piece is strong. It has BGW9 superluminova, and it also has a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert with AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal. So in this case, I'm not going to be highly critical of the pressed metal clasp. I understand that Steeldive had to make some cost-cutting measures with regards to production costs, and I would prefer to see a brand use a pressed metal clasp as the cost-cutting measure rather than making cost-cutting measures on the head of the piece. So with regards to the rest of the specifications, we have a flat sapphire crystal with AR coating on the underside, and as you can see, the AR coating does an outstanding job of reducing the glare and the highly reflective nature of the silver applied indices and the silver mirror polished Mercedes hands. It does a good job of being an homage to the Submariner date. We have the same dial layout as the Rolex Maxi dial used on the Submariner date, and the same proportions of Mercedes hands. So they've got the proportions of the Mercedes hands correct, and they've also got the proportions of the applied indices correct. They look very similar to the Maxi dial applied indices used on the Submariner date. Cyclops Magnifier has 2.5 times magnification, which is the same as Rolex, and the Cyclops Magnifier does a very good job of magnifying the date complication. As you can see, the black Arabic numerals are clearly legible on the white dates wheel. One can clearly see that it's the 4th of the month. The dial is black and it's also a deep glossy black finish. I think they've made the correct decision by using a black glossy finish rather than matte black, or alternatively a sunburst black. It does look very good because it's a deep black rather than a matte grey colour. With regards to the bezel, it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. We have a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert, and Steeldive deserve full credit for this because it is unusual to get a fully loomed ceramic bezel insert at this price point, $99 US. They've done a good job of inlaying the engraved minute ticks and also the Arabic numerals on the ceramic, and they are fully infilled with BGW9 Superlume Nova, which is very strong specification. With regards to the bezel itself, it's very well executed. They've done a good job of the scallops to the teeth, to the solid 316L grade stainless steel bezel, mirror polished exterior, and the interior of the scallops are matte finish, and it does a very good job of being an homage to the Submariner date. The bezel looks very similar to a Rolex bezel, and it's very well executed. No sharp edges, no burrs. It's actually been machined to a very high standard. With regards to the finishing to the head of the piece, brush satin finish to the tops of the lugs, flawless mirror polishing to the flanks, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Steeldive have finished the head of the piece to a very high standard. There are no sharp edges, no sharp points to the ends of the lugs. The underside of the case has been very well deburred and chamfered. No sharp edges to this piece whatsoever. The case polishing and also the brush satin finishing to the head of the piece are outstanding. Bear in mind that this is a low tier price point piece. Crown guards are also very well executed, flawless mirror polishing, no sharp edges. With regards to the crown, it's coin edge finished, solid 316L grade stainless steel, matte finish to the cap on the crown, and as you can see, it has the Steeldive brand emblem embossed to a very high standard, so it's very well finished, and I really like the quality of it. It's aesthetically pleasing and it's also very tactile and grippy. So let's test the crown action. Absolutely silky smooth. This is very good quality screw down crown execution. The screw down crown provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters, which again is very strong specification because the Pagani design PD1661, which this watch competes with head to head, only has 100 meters of water resistance. This has 300 meters, so it's a very good specification. Absolutely silky smooth. One can feel the tension in the mainspring gradually building up when one manually winds the Seiko NH35A automatic, so absolute pleasure to manually wind. Pulling it out to the first click position, sorry, that's the last click, I'll try again. That's it. So in the first click position, it's the quick set date complication, and as you can see, the NH35A, which is a personal favourite of mine, works very well. It has a nice quick set complication. Each day of the month clicks over with a nice positive click. Pulling it out to the second click position hacks the movement. If you look closely at the second hand, I've now hacked the movement so it's possible to set the time precisely to the second. Absolutely silky smooth, nice light resistance to the NH35A. I really like the feeling of it. One can feel the gearing, but it's got a nice light resistance. No back play whatsoever, both clockwise and anti-clockwise. Pushing it back in restarts the movement with a nice positive click, so let's test screwing it back down. Immediate thread pickup, this is outstanding. I would describe the feeling in terms of the execution of the interface of the internal thread of the stainless steel crown and the external thread of the stainless steel crown tube. It feels very similar to a Pagani designed PD1661, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So screw down crown execution is outstanding. Silky smooth, 300 meters of water resistance. Hand winding and hacking are useful complications. I really like the execution of it. It feels very good. Nice positive screw down thread action to it. Right, so let's test the bezel action. 120 click unidirectional bezel as one would expect. Now it feels firmer than a Pagani design PD1661. It's got a heavier ratcheting mechanism, which I like. I like that solid feeling of it. And louder audible clicks. It feels more similar to a Seiko SKX007 bezel action in terms of resistance, in terms of the spring-loaded action of the ratcheting mechanism. And I like the loud audible clicks. Feels very reassuring. Good solid bezel action. No lateral side-side play whatsoever. No back play whatsoever. So this is a very good bezel action. Bearing in mind this is a low tier price point piece at $99 US. It's definitely a better quality bezel action than on the Pagani designed PD1661, which often suffers with back play. So no lateral side-side play, no back play. Let's just check the alignment of the loomed triangle at 12 o'clock. Perfect. The loomed triangle perfectly aligns with the 12 o'clock index on the dial. So this is excellent bezel action. I'm very impressed with it at this price point. And as I'll show you in the loom test, it's fully loomed with BGW9 Superloom Nova rather than just inlaying the minute 6 and the Arabic numerals with white paint as per the PD1661. Right, so I'll show you the case back because it's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. Solid 316L grade stainless steel screw down case back. It provides an effective hermetic seal to 300 meters, which is strong specification. They've done a very good job of engraving the case back with the Steeldive emblem, and the specification of the piece is engraved around the circumference. They've drilled holes in the circumference to remove the case back, and it's done to a very high standard. No sharp edges, no burrs, and the brush satin finishing to the screw down case back is done to a very high standard. The quality of the engraving is very sharp. It looks very good, high definition, and it's a very nice attention to detail, and I really like it, so I think they deserve full credit. They've made the correct choice by using a solid stainless steel case back rather than an exhibition case back as per the PD1661, because this gives 300 meters of water resistance. The PD1661 exhibition case back only provides 100 meters, so this is a better quality screw down stainless steel case back. The solid end links are a good tight fit to the case, which I'll show you. And also the profile of the solid end links are a very good match to the profile to the head of the piece. And they deserve full credit for this, because on many low tier watches, often the end links, the solid end links, are a sloppy fit to the case. There's a gap, there's play, but these end links are a good tight fit between the lugs. There's no play whatsoever, and the quality of the profile is very good on both sides. If you look at the other side, you can see there's no lip, there's no edge projecting, so they've got it flush. The curved profile to the end links is a perfect match to the profile to the lugs on the case. So I really like the end links, they're very high quality. Now with regards to the bracelet, it is disappointing because we've got push pins rather than screw pins, which is another clear cost cutting measure. And as you can see, there is a lot of play in each of the links. The pins are a sloppy fit in the links. So although it's well finished, in terms of the brush satin finish, it does have a beautiful luster to it, as you can see. No sharp edges, no burrs. The flanks to the bracelet links are polished to a flawless mirror finish. So the mirror polishing is good, the brush satin finishing is good, but the negative is there is a lot of play in each of the links, as you can see. Now the cumulative effect of all that play is the bracelet rattles, and when wearing it on wrist one can hear the bracelet rattle, and also feels like a very sloppy bracelet. It feels like there's a lot of play, and if you look at the last push pin in the end link, you can see there is a lot of articulation there, both up and down and also lateral side to side play. So it's got play in all directions, as you can see. So there is room for improvement on the bracelet, and as I've discussed, usually I'd be highly critical of this because it also has a pressed metal clasp, but in this case I'm not going to be highly critical. I understand they've made the cost-cutting measures with the bracelet and the clasp in order to make the specification of the head of the piece very strong, because BGW9 on the applied indices, the hands, and BGW9 on the fully loomed ceramic bezel insert are strong specification, as is the AR coating and 300 meters. There has to be some cost-cutting measures to make this viable to produce it at $99 US, and they've made the correct decision by making the cost-cutting measures in the bracelet and clasp rather than the head of the piece. Right, so I'll give you a wrist shot and you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now, I have sized this bracelet. I've removed one full link because this bracelet is very long and it will easily fit up to an 8.5-inch wrist with no difficulties whatsoever. Even with one link removed, I can easily slip an index finger underneath the bracelet and clasp at all times. So it's good that they've included enough links. If you're a collector with a larger wrist of 8 inches, this will fit you no problem whatsoever. Now, It's a very well proportioned piece, very similar proportions to the Rolex Submariner date, which it is an homage to. They've got the proportions correct, 40mm head of the piece, and we have a 47.8mm lug-to-lug measurement. As you'll know from my previous reviews, I consider 48mm to be the sweet spot. That is the perfect lug-to-lug measurement, regardless of whether you're a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. 47.8 is very close to 48, which is perfection. Gives a nice snug fit to the wrist, and I really like it. It feels very well balanced. 20mm lug width is the correct decision because it perfectly balances the 40mm head of the piece. Very similar to the Submariner Super Case used in the Submariner date 116610LN, which I've previously owned. And I can tell you, having owned a Submariner date 116610LN, this does a very good job of being an homage to it. It does feel very similar on wrist. And I really like the large loomed triangle rather than having a loom pip on the ceramic bezel insert. The sapphire crystal with AR coating is very aesthetically pleasing, and the AR coating does a good job. So, very nice specification, 300 meters, BGW9, and we also got AR coating, so I like it. So I think the execution of the bezel is very good, as I've discussed. Mirror polished exterior, and the scallops on the bezel are satin finish. So it's good. The only negative really is the play in the bracelet links, and of course the pressed metal 2-button push flip lock clasp. Right, so let's do a loom test, and we'll see how the loom performs when it's charged up to the absolute maximum. Now I've got high expectations of this piece because it uses BGW9 Super Luminova, which is top grade Super Luminova, so I'm hoping it's going to perform to a very high standard. Often as collectors, we're often critical of the Pagani design PD1661, which is a similar price point piece, because that has weak loom performance, and it's something that collectors would happily pay more for to get stronger looms such as BGW9 or C3 Super Luminova. Right, so as you can see, this has not disappointed. This is top grade BGW9 Super Luminova. The other thing I like about it, and Steeldive deserve full credit for this, they have got the tone of the blue, the colour match, perfect between the fully loomed ceramic bezel insert, the applied indices and the Mercedes hands. This is something that often brands within the low tier. When I'm talking about low tier, I'm talking about watches below $150 US. Within the low tier, often brands get a colour mismatch between the applied indices and the Mercedes hands, or alternatively, if they do loom the ceramic bezel insert, there's a colour match. They use a green tone versus a blue tone. But Steeldive have got it absolutely correct. They're using the exact same quality BGW9 on this ceramic bezel insert, the applied indices and the Mercedes hands. If you look at the blue tone, it perfectly matches, and this is something I really like. They've got it correct. Now, BGW9 is top grade. It's glowing incredibly brightly, and it will continue to glow for a good length of time. I really like this. I think at $99 US it is impressive. It's very strong specification to get top grade BGW9. This is what we would like a Pagani design PD1661 to look like, but of course they never use BGW9. And I really like this about this Steeldive SD1953. It really is equal quality to the loom used on a Steinhardt Ocean 139. Alternatively, a Seiko that uses Lumibright. That is the quality we're looking at here. It's still continuing to glow incredibly brightly, and it's not fading fast, which is often the case with Luminova. One can clearly tell Super Luminova. The other thing is, looking at the applied indices, they've clearly used 5 or 6 layers. Often with low-tier brands, they use the cost-cutting measure of only applying 2 or 3 layers, because the less number of layers applied to the indices means that they can cut costs with the volume of Super Luminova used. But with 5 to 6 layers, this is the kind of performance you get. If you look at the applied indices, they're still glowing exactly as brightly as the Mercedes hands. So clearly 5 to 6 layers on the Mercedes hands, clearly 5 to 6 layers on the applied indices. And they've done an excellent job with the ceramic bezel insert. Look at the definition of the minute ticks and also the Arabic numerals. They're looking nice and sharp, and I really like it. So I think that this is outstanding. So very strong specification, the BGW9 Super Luminova. Right, so let's discuss the movement used. It's one of my favourite aspects of the piece. You will all be familiar with the Seiko NH35A Automatic. It's the correct choice for a $99 US Submariner date homage. Reliable, well-proven workhorse movement. It has 24 jewels. hand winding and hacking, which useful complications. It runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. The 40-hour power reserve is perfectly acceptable, and the stated accuracy of the NH35A automatic is -20 to +40 seconds per day. So a rather wide accuracy range. However, I want to give credit to Steeldive because they're regulating the NH35A automatics they're using to a very good standard. This one is running consistently at +6 seconds per day, which is very strong accuracy. And I like it. I think +6 per day from an NH35A is very good. And it's reliable, it's well proven, it's a good solid workhorse movement. I like the hand winding and hacking. So it's the correct choice for this piece, and really no negatives to the NH35A automatic. It also means it's a good base if you like watch modding. If you want to mod this piece, the bezel insert is a standard SKX007 size, and also, of course, you can fit a plethora of hands and dial sets because it uses the standard 28.5mm Seiko dial diameter size. So good base if you like modding watches with Seiko parts, and I really like that aspect of the NH35A. One can customise the watch and modify it to one's own personal taste. Right, so lastly I'll summarise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet 2 criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So $99 is the price point. This watch goes head to head. It directly competes with the Pagani designed PD1661. If you're looking at this SD1953, you will also be considering the PD1661 because they are very close in terms of price point and also specification. This watch has the edge over the PD1661 in terms of QC. It has better quality control. When I'm evaluating a watch, I look for it to have 3 key elements: bezel execution, crown execution, and lume performance. Now, in addition to that, if it has AR coating, that is an enhancement, but of course one rarely gets that below $150. This meets all those key elements. The bezel execution is excellent, the screw down crown execution is excellent, we've got AR coating, and it uses BGW9 Superluminova on the applied indices, the Mercedes hands, and also on the ceramic bezel insert, so it does have the edge over the PD1661, which doesn't have AR coating, it has weak lume, and it has poor bezel execution. Those are the 3 main negatives of the PD1661. Now, this isn't the perfect piece because, as I've discussed, there is room for improvement on the bracelet. The negatives of this watch are the sloppy bracelet. As you can see, lots of extra articulation and play in the push pins, and we've got push pins rather than screw pins, and an abhorrent pressed metal clasp. However, if you're going to wear this watch on a rubber strap, NATO strap, alternatively upgrade the bracelet, then yes, it is a very well executed piece overall. The quality control of this piece is better than the PD1661. Strong specification as well, because the PD1661 only has 100 meters of water resistance. This has 300 meters of water resistance. So I think it's better. I think this is a better watch than the PD1661, even though the bracelet is poor quality. Really, to weigh it up, I would have to split it into 2 and say the head of the piece and the bracelet, evaluate them separately. Excellent head of the piece, poor quality bracelet, but overall I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money, and I'm going to highly recommend it to you for your consideration. I hope you've enjoyed my review of the Steeldive SD1953. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.